Captain's Log, October 15th, 2014. So the big news today is about DC and their plans for the future for all of their copious amounts of superhero franchises that they have finally told us when exactly certain things are supposed to happen. I will talk about that in a subsequent video. I did not have a chance to weigh in on the Marvel thing yesterday that we found out about Captain America 3, and I want to go ahead and talk about that first. Clearly, DC seems to have jumped on board and started making a lot of things known because Marvel came out and did this, and there seems to be a bit of a rivalry brewing. Well, that's an understatement. There always has been, of course. And a lot of the reason DC seems to be wanting to do a shared movie universe and try to catch up, of course, is to try to get a piece of this pie and to become a major player. And this could be really good stuff for the audience. This could be really good for us. That this competition could create some really great stories and some really grand and exciting spectacles. I will talk a little bit more about that stuff when I talk about DC in a supplemental Captain's Log. Right now, let's talk Captain America 3. So, Robert Downey Jr. has signed on to be in the third Captain America movie, as I'm sure everybody knows by now, and this is supposed to spearhead the beginning of Civil War. This came out of nowhere. I keep talking about Civil War. Civil War is the thing that I keep saying I'd like to see happen on the big screen, partly because I think there's some wonderful drama there, partly because it was an idea I always thought was really good, and I wanted to see handled better and realized better than in the comics, and I think that it's something that could be greatly improved upon. Did I expect it this early? Not even a little bit, and there's been a lot of talk about Civil War for a long time, but my immediate reaction to this was, yay, cool, this is something I've wanted to see. My second reaction was, or the second thing I thought anyway, going along with that, was, yay, they're not going to try to do all of Civil War in one movie. It's not going to be the beginning of the movie, Iron Man and Captain America have a falling out, and at the end of the movie, we are finished with Civil War. It's going to be a status quo for a while, it looks like. I don't know exactly what that means, but that's what Marvel's touting up. That's what they're talking about. That Captain America 3 is the beginning of Civil War, and that perhaps this will permeate some of the movies. For how long? Is this going to be like all of the next phase or whatever, like a whole bunch of things in Civil War? Or are we going to be dealing with that a lot in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and in some of the Netflix series? How is all of this gonna work exactly? I don't know. It's a good question. I guess we'll see when it happens. But I was really excited to see that they were doing this and gonna make it kind of intricate, complex, like really take their time with it, kind of thing. That's exciting. And then I talked to Steve Baxi about it. He and I argued about this a little bit because he was immediately like, it's a terrible idea. We shouldn't be doing that. And I was like, no, I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, like this Captain America and Iron Man are immediately on different kinds of sides. They're very different in their worldviews of the role of government and that kind of stuff. The politics is all there and ripe for this kind of drama. What I'm reading, and it seems like this is they've just come out and said this is what they're doing. I'm really surprised that we're getting this much plot stuff about this early. And as I always say, I don't like that. I resist that. I feel like I already know what the aftermath is going to be of Age of Ultron before I've even seen Age of Ultron. I don't like that. But it's out. All the fans are talking about it. Everybody, a lot of us anyway, know this stuff. So anyway. So I'm curious. I like to speculate. I guess I'll talk about it anyway. So what it seems like they're doing is they're going to say Iron Man blames himself for Ultron because, as far as we can tell, the idea is going to be that he created what becomes Ultron, and it's his fault that there's this horrible villain. So we do the classic, the hero that creates the villain thing, and the heroes are doing good. They're stopping crimes and villainy, and they're solving the huge, giant, horrible global crises. But what if they become more of the problem because they're too powerful, because there's not enough oversight? And so the idea is I guess that Civil War will happen when Tony Stark, because of actions he took decides that there needs to be more regulation, that if only there was more oversight to stop him from doing what he did, that couldn't have happened, and that is immediately a lot more sympathetic to me than the way it was handled in the comics. I really like the idea that Tony Stark starts from a place of, I did this horrible thing. I mean, it was on accident, but I need to put things in place to make sure that never happens again. I really like that idea a lot, and I like that these worldviews are coming from specific events that we get to see in the movies, informing them. Where Captain America sees in dealing directly with the Hydra and Shield thing, and finding out that Hydra has been behind Shield for so many years. What can happen if you allow for too much government control? What can happen if you put protection too far ahead of when you put protection too far ahead of freedom? And he has that line. I think it's in Winter Soldier when he says that I thought the idea with America was to bring people to justice after a crime has been committed. And so immediately you can see the different worldviews. Iron Man thinks that these things can be prevented in the first place, and Captain America thinks that you are quelching people's freedoms by not allowing it to happen and then dealing with the problem. I think this is wonderful. I think it's a really good idea to do Civil War out of that. But then Steve actually raised some really good points, and I want to address them because he's right on stuff. One of them is, hey, nobody has secret identities in this universe. So how do we do the Civil War thing the same way? Is this going to be, and it seems like it is this going to be a Superhero Registration Act thing, where the idea is you have to out your secret identity, and Captain America doesn't think that people should be forced to do that because they should be allowed the privacy to keep their identities a secret. But we don't really have a lot of secret identity characters in this universe. We're going to get some of the Netflix series, but is that enough? Especially by the time we get there? This is 2016. We're talking, a year and a half from now. We're talking the same year as Batman vs. Superman. I don't know that all the Netflix shows are even going to be done by then. In fact, I don't think so. I don't think Daredevil even starts until 2016, right? Or is it beginning? Or is it next year sometime? Anyway, I don't think they're all going to be done yet. So. I don't see how that can really play in all that much. That's a really good question. My response to that in defense of the idea is maybe it's not exactly the same thing. I don't know how exactly Civil War works, but the idea of registering... I don't know that it has to be a registration thing. It probably will be. I'm just saying that I could see how the idea could work. I could see it being, we have to control people with too much power. The other thing, of course, is that Tony Stark is not a superhuman, so I don't know how you really rope him into that. Is it just whenever somebody decides to put on a costume, the government should be able to control them? It seems like, well, you would just never put a costume on, because he's not superhuman. He just is really, really, really smart, and he fits in with all these other larger-than-life superheroic characters only in his intellect and what he's been able to create. So he doesn't really fit in the same category exactly. I don't really know how you regulate that, what exactly the rules would be or whatever. I don't know. So that's the thing. Steve's other reservation is, so we're going to keep staving off Thanos forever? Is that what we're doing now? Isn't this a little early? And I agree with that. I do think it's a little early. My only defense to that is, if anybody can pull this off, it's the Russos, and just this team in general at large. I'm excited about the idea. I want to love it, and I want to be proven right that this could work. Having said that, so I'm excited about it. I think it could be wonderful. At the same time, yes, good call. We are building up a lot of stuff. It does seem like one of these things maybe should come before the other. It seems kind of weird that you would do this after Thanos, but couldn't Thanos be the thing that we used to bring everybody back together again? Where we have this huge splinter thing. We're like, okay, the first Avengers movie is about all these individual characters who kind of are off in their own little worlds, and then they exist in the same universe. They all come together. They're forced to make a team. The second movie seems like it's going to be about these characters wanting to be able to do whatever they want and not have to continue to be superheroes. Maybe they, or at least that's what I'm reading, that maybe they don't want to do this forever. And then Tony Stark does something that forces them to come together again, and this time they are the problem. And then after that, not the next Avengers movie, but then with this whole Civil War thing, it's the whole superhero thing is getting out of hand. There's a lot of people who have decided to do this, and the Avengers are worried about history repeating itself. So there is a natural. There is kind of a natural course there, but then the whole Thanos thing, just how long can we stave off the Infinity Gauntlet stuff? I really could kind of see that being the thing that brings everybody back together and helps them find common ground. We start with an alien invasion, we end with another way worse one that requires a lot more characters to help us solve it, and people that are not legal under this Registration Act thing. Maybe this time it goes through and longer. Is kind of my idea. But again, I'm just kind of speculating and spitballing. So I could see it going either way. I could see it being just way too much all happening at once. On the other hand, I just really love all the ideas set up in Winter Soldier, and the thing I was most impressed with and excited about with that movie is that it deals with some political stuff, and I like more escapists. One of the things that I didn't like about Civil War was I said I don't know that I want my comics to deal with all this political stuff, at least as like on the nose as that. We're like do we have to talk about exactly the kinds of things that are happening now and deal with the kind of conservative versus liberal ideas, so in your face and on your nose? Can't we do it in somewhat more of an allegorical kind of way? And that's what my sensibilities are. That's simply a taste thing. I'm not saying that can't be done well or shouldn't be done. It's just a taste thing. Well, Winter Soldier directly head on dealt with the idea of freedom versus surveillance and versus protection, and I loved it and was very entertained by it, and I got the escapist thing at the same time as a movie that really made me think about real world stuff. And if these movies are going to be this hugely, insanely popular, if that continues, these are the movies that most people go and see. If we can do it in a really entertaining way, I want them to be thought-provoking. I want them to make people think about some real-world stuff. As long as it's done, tastefully and isn't too preachy about anything. And so far, I think that's really worked really well for them. Here's a prediction. Or a potential prediction. Here's the thing that I think could happen. I wonder if this is not a thing where we turn the comics on their heads and have Iron Man die this time. That's what I'm wondering. I wonder if Iron Man doesn't get killed off after his lead his own Avengers team thing, because I'm wondering if Avengers 3 isn't still in the middle of this whole Civil War thing, or just how long that'll go. But we know that I did a video on this a couple weeks ago or a week ago. We know that Avengers 3 is supposed to be now Tony Stark gets his own group of Avengers, and there's and the old team isn't together anymore, or at least they're not together in that movie. And I wonder if that isn't his side won, and this is us getting to see how the registered characters work together, that whole idea. And then Captain America is maybe in hiding or off on his own, or maybe as the Civil War is going on, you've got these two sides, and maybe Well, I mean, I guess Captain America would be illegalized. I was gonna say maybe like it's just neither one is really in hiding. They're just both kind of splintered. But I guess if this is a government thing, one would be illegal and the other one wouldn't, and the other one would naturally be on the run. And that's where a lot of the crux of the drama was for that for those comics. So I kind of think they're going to want that. Obviously, some part of the reason they're going to want this too, I should have said this earlier, is just getting to see a bunch of these characters hit each other again. And that was another thing that Steve was kind of worried about. I should have just done this video with Steve. I keep talking about the conversation he and I had, but that maybe part of the reason to do this, or a lot of the reason would just be let's get to see these characters hit each other. I guess I'm just assuming it'll be more than that because Winter Soldier was so well handled, and the same directors are dealing with this, at least starting off and beginning it. I have a lot of faith in it. I wouldn't have so much before I saw Winter Soldier, maybe just hearing it, but just right off the get I kind of have more faith in it. But I kind of wonder if the Avengers 3 movie isn't these characters that are part of this government registration program trying to work together, and how that works or how that maybe doesn't work so well. And then whatever the culmination of the whole thing is, maybe this time Iron Man gets killed. Maybe that's how they finally get Downey out when he decides that he doesn't want to do this anymore. He has signed on. I think I read for like 3 more. So whichever movies those are going to be, we know one of them is now Captain America 3. We know one of them is Avengers 3, and I don't think Avengers 2 counts in that. I think that's even another one besides that. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm interested to hear people's thoughts. Like I said, my gut reaction is this is exciting, but and also they're. And also I'm agreeing with people that say that they're trying to do something really huge and big and giant to compete with DC as they're building Justice League. Yes, definitely. Like I said, I hope that just means really good storytelling and not just everything must be super giant and big. But anyway, I'm interested to see everybody else's reactions. I can see both sides to this, but as I always say, I kind of just want it to happen and want to see it and want to see what exactly is done with it. But the idea that it might be way too early to do something like this is incredibly valid, but I'm very interested to see where it goes. What do you guys think? Leave your comments. Looking forward to reading them. I am Captain Logan, and this concludes today's Captain's Log.